Here we have Garry Tonon versus Kron Gracie at the 2013 ADCC. We have about 2 minutes into the match. Kron is on Garry's back here. So Kron in black, Garry in white. And it looks like Kron's about to go for the back, except that, as we can see down here, Garry is dominating Kron's wrist. And what that does is that allows Garry to keep a space between Garry's back and Kron's chest, so that even if Kron does manage to get hooks in, he's not going to have solid chest to back control, and Garry will be able to escape. So Kron, realizing this, goes to mount instead. What Kron is attempting to do here is he's trying to look for the gift wrap position. Once he gets gift wrap position, he'll be then able to chair sit and take Garry onto his back. This is Garry's arm here. Kron is looking to bring his hands up to try to grab hold of this wrist into the gift wrap, which he does. Now, unfortunately for Kron, Garry has turned himself flat. He's put both legs on the ground and he's lifting his butt in the air. This keeps Garry's shoulders flat on the ground. So even with a gift wrap, there's no way that Kron is able to take him to his back here. So again, it's lost the gift wrap, back into it. All right, something's happening here. Garry's started to work his escape, which means he's turned on his side, which has exposed this arm for that gift wrap position. So Kron manages to get it here. He's got now Garry's right arm is wrapped up into a gift wrap position. So we're just going to slow down and really slow down to see what's happening here. Now, let's just reverse a second. Okay, so now we can see that Garry is on his side slightly with his arm wrapped around his own head. So Kron's hand is holding on to Garry. Right, now we can see again. Now we can see again. So Kron's hand with the bandages is grabbing onto Garry's hand here, dominating this other hand. He's about to chair sit. Now the problem is that there is no chest to back contact. Garry is still has his belly turned too much towards the ceiling, so that when Kron goes to chair sit, Garry can then post this leg on the ground to stop himself being pulled on top. This is important, combined with Garry's shoulder, which is into Kron's midsection here. This is what's stopping Garry being pulled onto the back. Now, if Garry only used this leg but didn't have his shoulder here, so Kron had his chest to back contact here, Kron would be able to reverse direction and come underneath Garry and get his back, but it doesn't happen. So it almost looks like Kron's on his back, but he doesn't have the bottom hook. So back to the mount position and hunting for that gift wrap again. So he's got the gift wrap. Now, Garry again is keeping flat because he doesn't want to get his back taken. Now, the problem that Garry has now is that he's got that gift wrap. Kron has that gift wrap. Garry has to get free from that. And everything is about Garry's left arm here. If Garry can use his left arm, he can then use 2-on-1 and free his own gift wrapped right arm here. But the problem with that, you can see Garry is reaching here to try to make some space to get his arm free. But he does that. Unfortunately, now both his arms are up high, which means that there's no block, which gives Kron an ability to move up high and start attacking the armbar. Both Garry's arms are up high. There's nothing that's going to block Kron from moving up, which he's about to do. There we go. Starting to climb. Now, Garry knows that his arms are up, so as Kron goes for this, Garry's going to be ready. straight away trying to block, but that was a beautifully executed armbar there. Okay, this is, we're talking about back on this one. So Garry escapes this, and let's just move on to further on in the match. So this is about 5.5 minutes in. Garry forces Kron to turn to turtle, starts working for the truck, gets some back exposure happening, and here. Right, we're going to slow this down. Everything is about Garry's left arm here. So Garry's left arm is close to Kron's hip. So he's dominating, he's got the truck, he's dominating Kron's bottom leg, wanting to get 2 hooks in, but Kron is spinning out of there. This arm is important here. If Garry was to use this arm and try to grab up on the neck or seatbelt, Kron would be out. So he keeps hold of this hip and follows. Now, Garry's right leg here, his knee is going to jump up really high. There, jumped up really high. That means that he's higher up on the back again. And coming around, notice he still has this grip on the hip. Kron's going to keep rolling. And notice that in this transition here, Garry's left arm has come up to Kron's lat. So this here means he's starting to get that climb to the back. The foot is starting to come in. So this is good control. If he didn't transition from the hip up to the lat, he would have lost it. Still has that lat grip. Now it starts going deeper. Okay, this here is where Garry establishes back control. Okay. Now, here, Garry has back control, double underhooks. This is a good position for Garry. He's got a nice strong body triangle, underhooks on both sides. He's got strong control. He's about to lose it in a second though. Watch Garry's right arm. He's got an underhook with it. Now, this right arm is started to come loose. There. Now that it's loose, there's nothing stopping Kron from moving towards the camera, moving towards us, which is starting to happen. There we go. Now there's absolutely nothing. And Kron's escape here is all about his right elbow. Kron can bring his right elbow between himself and Garry. He's going to escape. And there it is. The elbows come between, and he can spin and come on top. Now he's got an underhook, no more back control. But this is really interesting here because Kron's on top, but Garry's still got that body triangle, so he's still got quite a good control over Kron's lower body. What's happening here is Garry is looking at dominating Kron's right arm. This is Kron's post. If he can dominate that post, he'll be able to get a sweep, which is what is happening here. There's a hand fight over here for Kron's right arm. Garry's got it, can pop up. There we can see in here, Garry has Kron's arm there briefly. Now he's on top, and we're in a similar position to what happened earlier with Kron. When Kron was on top, but now Garry's on top with Kron on his side, and he's looking for that seatbelt, harness control. Okay, so it's turning down. So Garry's done a really good job of maintaining back control here. Now we're back into a similar position here where, same as where we were before, Kron's left elbow needs to come between them to get the escape. All right, here, this control here, this bottom hook in, top leg hooked over, is a good control that stops Kron from turning to his belly, but it doesn't effectively stop, sorry, this stops Kron from turning his belly to the sky, but it doesn't stop Kron from turning his belly to the mat. The only thing that would do that is Garry's control of Kron's left shoulder or left elbow, which he doesn't have, which lets Kron easily roll, and we've got an escape. So this is right at the end. Next sequence on the back. Everything's getting a bit tired here, so Kron gets that first hook in quite easily. Now he's got almost on Garry's back. He's got both hooks in. Almost both hooks in. And we're in a similar situation to what happened with Garry earlier, except here we can see that Kron's top hook is in, whereas the previous exchange, when Garry was on Kron's back, Garry's top hook was over the far hip. So now when Garry does the turn to the belly escape, which is what Kron just did, Kron goes with him. And then from here, back control is established, and in a few more seconds, it's all over. So here we go. Garry's doesn't have control of Kron's wrists. He's only got the biceps, which is not enough. And the tap. Fantastic match.